Well, speaking of Jump titles that are successful, or successful titles in general, I guess. So, recently, like in late October, the English Shonen Jump added the RWBY Manga adaptation drawn by Shirow Miwa of Dog's fame. And this RWBY manga was supposedly, ostensibly, a prequel to the series, but really, it's just a re-adaptation of the teaser trailers. And so that's been running in the English Shonen Jump. In Japan, it's published in Ultra Jump. And apparently it's ending this month on January 19th with chapter 14.
Oh, boy.
So, really, the series spent 9 chapters recapping the teaser trailers, and presumably those final 5 chapters are an original story. But from what I've skimmed of the plot synopsis, it really has no bearing and importance to the series itself.
It's like a filler arc.
It's basically filler. It's basically fluff. So this manga, even though I'm a RWBY fan, I have to say this was a really disappointing manga. It was kind of pointless to read. I'm very disappointed in it, and I can't help but feel like this whole project was a waste of time, and I feel bad for people who were introduced to the series through the manga, because it really did not give them enough to get engaged and invested in the characters and world. So, that's unfortunate.
It's really sad, because I remember you were really excited to read this.
I mean, I'd just gotten into it, like, I understood the series, and I became a fan of it. So, yeah, at the time, I was like, oh, this manga adaptation is going to tell an original story. That sounds really interesting. I want to learn more about the world and these characters. At this manga, reading it in Jump these past 8 or so weeks, it has just not offered anything worthwhile. The closest it came to doing that was during the readaptation of Weiss's teaser trailer, which did touch upon some of her backstory and character motivations, but nothing that the show itself doesn't already explore much better. So, yeah, this manga is just kind of a waste, and it's unfortunate.
I mean, like, the whole big problem with this, I feel, is that it's adapting mainly the trailers. And the whole purpose of the trailers, like, when they're animated and stuff, was that they're just showing off the animation and the fight scenes. There are little snippets of plot in there, but there's not enough to really flesh it out and, like, adapt it in manga form. So, I feel like Shirow Miwa should have, like, actually just started with the original story from the beginning and not even bothered with the trailers at all.
Yeah, I wish they didn't spend most of this manga's run recapping stories, for one thing, that weren't interesting, that were originally intended just to sell you on the series' action, that the manga cannot communicate in its medium, as the original trailers did.
It could also be very possible that maybe the way the story turned out wasn't completely by Miwa's choice alone. There could have been some corporate meddling here, or he or she, I don't know which, could have been just drawing what Rooster Teeth wanted him to draw.
I mean, the series was supervised by Rooster Teeth, so they did have to approve, and I'm sure they gave him direction and stuff. So, yeah. I'm not necessarily blaming Miwa himself, but I do think that whoever, envisioned or whatever they wanted to attempt to do with this manga, I don't think they succeeded at all. I think that there could have been so much more done with a RWBY manga than what they did do.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, because from the little I had read of it, it looked really great. Like, I could have just spent hours looking at the art, honestly.
Miwa's art is fantastic. Yeah. It's just that the writing just wasn't there.
Yeah, and that's mainly due to the fact that the earliest parts of RWBY really aren't that good.
Yeah, they are.
So adapting that into manga form is just not really a good idea.
And especially when you're adapting the teaser trailers, which didn't have much plot to begin with. Again, they were just action set pieces and showcases.
Those trailers are usually completely silent, aside from Yang's, I think.
Yeah, Yang's is the only one that has substantial dialogue.
Yeah, and even that's just her just making off comments.
Yeah.
And, just to kind of go off topic a little bit real quick before we head on to the next news story and continue talking about RWBY, this also kind of presents another problem, that problem where Viz's Weekly Shonen Jump introduces a new series and is basically gone within like the next 2 months.
Yeah, at the rate that they've been publishing RWBY with 1 chapter a week, they'll be done with the RWBY manga by mid-February. So that's another series they're going to need to replace.
Yeah, I feel really sorry for the Viz Jump. I really wish it just seems like they can't get a break, honestly.
Yeah, I hope they choose replacements that will stick around for a while. Like, I think that the strategy of choosing the jump starts just as easy replacements isn't sustainable because it's such a lottery as to what will, stick around and what won't. And it's just not reliable. I think they should invest in bringing over some of the series that have consistent and, assured serialization for the long term.
So pretty much Kimetsu no Yaiba.
And Haikyuu. I mean, that one especially is like guaranteed to last for a while.
I feel like they're not gonna. I know a lot of people who are really, really like gunning for Haikyuu to join the Viz Jump, but I feel like if they haven't added it at this point, they're probably not going to. But I could totally be proven wrong though.
Yeah, I remember when I was listening to the Shonen Jump podcast like a few months back, they answered a question asking like why they haven't like added the Haikyuu manga to Jump. They kind of just brush it off, really. It kind of seems like they just aren't interested in really adding it. And maybe that's due to the fact that they're already spending so much time releasing it monthly that translating more on top of that is kind of overkill.
That's actually kind of understandable.
Especially since like the translations that they use for the magazine chapters, they have to completely redo them for the volume release. So it's not like it's like going to make it easier down the line when they get to those points in the volume releases. It just creates more work.
So I wonder if maybe they'll add Haikyuu to the Viz Jump maybe once they're caught up, but still, even with that, at the rate they're releasing Haikyuu, I mean, they're releasing a volume every month, but it's still going to take them some time to get caught up.
Yeah, it's going to be like 2 years, I think.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what they decide to do, but I am hoping for some announcements of replacement series soon.
Yeah.
This is the part of the reason I started reading. If people follow me on Twitter, you'll notice I've been reading Black Clover lately, and like this is part of the reason I decided to start reading stuff like Black Clover and Food Wars, because with all these series that are ending in Jump, like they have a bunch of series for the lineup, but like the problem is only half of them run weekly and the other half run pretty much monthly or irregularly. And me personally, I only read about I read One Piece, My Hero Academia, Promised Neverland. I know there's another one I read. I think One Punch Man. So I definitely read at least like 4 series out of like the 10 that they have?
Even less than that now.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah, so it's part of the reason I started reading those is because I want new stuff to read weekly, but I mean, like, I really wish they would add at least maybe like 1 or 2 new like weekly series. That would be nice.
3 weekly series ended in November, so I think that they should add 3 new weekly series to cover those gaps. But we'll see what they do.
Yeah, I mean, just some sort of content to at least fill it. Because right now the magazine just feels so bare. Yeah. Like, it's not that the content within it's bad, like, it's really good chapters of really good series, but compared to what we had, like, end of last year and now, it's just so, like, drastic of a difference in terms of the volume of content.
Yeah.
I still say they should run more one-shots. That's kind of what I want to see from them. I mean, I'm sure it's not something they would do too often, but I think it's, it would add a little spice to the lineup every once in a while. It'd be something new. It'd be something, surprising and unexpected.
Yeah, like they haven't
that'd be great,
but
it's at the same time it's no replacement for a regularly serialized series.
Yeah, but that I agree, but I still think it would be more content, and that would be good. Though I think it's pretty safe to assume at this point that they're at least going to be running that new arc of Kenshin that's going to be running pretty soon.
Yeah, that's assured. So I think that we can expect that What I don't know if we can expect is the Red Like Rose's manga anthology that's going to be coming out in spring. Yes, as one RWBY manga ends, a new RWBY manga will begin. This was announced very recently that this manga anthology based on RWBY is coming out in the spring. I don't know. There's no information on which authors are contributing to this, but given the partnership between Viz and Rooster Teeth, I wouldn't be surprised if they pick this up and if we maybe see some of the anthology chapters in this at least previewed in the Viz Jump. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. And I hope that this anthology is more interesting than the RWBY manga that we got recently. So we'll see.
Well, at least more RWBY content's coming, it looks like.
Yeah.